Guys, welcome to today's video where I want to talk about the single best bang for buck suspension modification you can do on your Lexus GX470, 4Runner, Tundra, Sequoia, Land Cruiser, all the Toyota light truck platforms. All vehicles come equipped from the factory with bump stops. Usually they're made of a harder rubber compound and are only really useful for protecting the body and suspension in an emergency situation when the suspension has already exceeded its useful range of motion. This hard rubber often gets even more hardened over time and likely rots beyond any usefulness over the years. Off-roading makes these bottom-out events far more frequent than what manufacturers consider normal use, so even if you off-road in your stock vehicle, you should consider upgrading your bump stops. That's all fine, but it's a different ball game if you upgrade your tires to larger diameter than stock, lift the suspension, and maximize the alignment specs for more off-road performance. If you go off-road with this kind of setup on stock bump stops, you'll quickly realize that the tires will begin contacting parts of the body and frame that you don't want them contacting. Of course, on the Toyota, Lexus light truck platforms, it's a given that some cutting and chopping needs to be done. But you can only cut so far without making a fully tubbed fender and sinking all the money and cost that goes into that, instead of just spending money towards not only keeping the tire away from the fender well, but also improving suspension performance at the same time. After going on my first off-road outing on 35s, I noticed I was rubbing everywhere and that the rubbing was louder than I experienced on 33s. That's because I was experiencing hard impacts on the fender well and other places that I never rubbed before. This creates a potentially dangerous situation for the drivetrain, as it could break an axle if you hit hard enough, not to mention the damage to the body itself along with the damage to the tire. So I reached out to Perry Parts after reading about their unique solution to these problems. Perry Parts makes the only non-hydraulic bump stops I've seen with both a progressive spring rate and low speed and high speed active compression damping. By using these specially designed compression damping ports in the top of the bump stops, Perry Parts is able to vary the compression damping depending on the situation. For example, air is easily able to escape these ports as the bump stop gets compressed in slow rock crawling situations. So you're getting maximum articulation of the available suspension travel since the bump stops allow themselves to compress fully. In high-speed situations like in desert whoops, the bump stops seal against the landing on the frame, build pressure internally, and resist the immense force of the vehicle weight in proportion to how much is applied. From what I can tell, you're getting the best of both worlds with these Perry Parts AeroBumps. Full suspension articulation and control at low speeds, and strong bottom-out protection at high speeds. Perry Parts is also the only manufacturer I've seen offer different bump stops for different tire size ranges. This avoids the one-size-fits-all strategy that the competitors use, which saves them on cost but may not offer the best performance for your particular rig. 3 options are available on the Perry Parts website: up to 33-inch tires, so from stock to 33s, 33-inch to 34-inch tires, and the 34 to 35-inch tire diameter range. I keep finding myself saying this, but Perry Parts is the only manufacturer I've seen offer a no questions asked warranty. Here's a picture of the manufacturer trying to break one of the bump stops in a 20-ton press and how it comes out just fine. As I said before, these bump stops fit all Toyota platforms, including the 4Runner, Tundra, Sequoia, Land Cruiser, and Lexus GX platforms, with a Tacoma set coming soon, along with multiple color options on the way as well. The best part is you get all of this technology and engineering, but you're not paying even close to as much as the competitors with these bump stops. They actually cost significantly less than I've seen with other options, like well over 50% savings, so not insignificant there. And you're supporting a small American business who manufactures the parts in-house and is a fellow Lexus off-road enthusiast. While you might be getting the best bang for buck for the parts, you may be asking yourself if you'll have to pay an arm and a leg for installation. And the answer is a resounding no. I'm going to show you how to install these things in 10 minutes by yourself. You don't even need to take the wheels off. On the rear of the vehicle, first remove the 2 12mm bolts from the factory bump stop. It should come out just like this, and let's compare it to the Perry Parts AeroBump. As you can see, the factory bump bump stop is extremely hard and it's cracking in places, and that rubber is just not doing us any good anymore. So we need the AeroBump, as I described before, with all of its technical features to help us get the most out of our off-road experience. While this step isn't necessary, it makes me more comfortable to put just a little bit of medium strength Loctite on these threads to get ready to install onto the vehicle. Then just install the Perry Parts AeroBumps right back in the stock location, oriented just like I'm showing here in this video. Then get your socket wrench back out and tighten those things down until you feel some resistance. Then one full turn more. Here's how things look on the passenger side. It's just a little bit tighter, so I'm going to show you how to access them from the bottom of the vehicle. I was able to reach the rear bolts by going under the vehicle like this, just behind the axle, and just tightening it up with a drill and an extension. And on the bolt near the front of the vehicle, I accessed it just in front of the axle with a drill like this. And I didn't tighten it all the way with the impact drill. I got out the socket wrench again to, again, feel for when I feel some resistance, and then turning the bolt one more time. If you thought the rears looked easy, you should see how simple it is to do the front bump stops as well. Just get yourself a pipe wrench or something like that to remove the stock ones. They have a metal piece closest to the frame landing that looks kind of like a hexagon. Just get a pipe wrench to break that free, and you should be able to loosen it all the way out by hand. Next, you should take the opportunity to clear out any grime or debris that's on the frame landing up there, just to make sure that those compression ports can perform as designed. And once you're done with that, all you need to do is, in my case, I chose to put some Loctite on it. The manufacturer says it's not really necessary, that the factory doesn't really do it, but it's just a little bit for my peace of mind. Once you do that, all you have to do is just screw the bump stop in by hand, and you're done. To make this step a bit easier, you can always get a floor jack under the frame and jack up the car a little bit so that the lower control arm droops further down, giving you a little bit more room to screw in this bump stop. Then just repeat the exact same process on the other side. After just street driving the rig on these for a week, the suspension already feels more controlled. Especially since I don't run a rear anti-sway bar, I'm able to notice stability in the back there right away. I can't wait to get some serious off-road testing done on these, and as always, support brands who support our platform. So guys, let me know what you think of these Perry Parts AeroBumps. I'm personally very impressed with the engineering of these bump stops and how they compare to the competition. Of course, I'm going to leave all links in the description below, so go ahead and check them out. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next video.